It was July 11th, 2017, some 3 weeks after high school summer vacation started. I'm a sophomore in high school, and normally summer break would be a blast, but sadly for me, I live in a remote town in Midwest America. We've got nothing going on around here, and all we do during summer is to hang out at the creeks and rivers all day long. So on this day, I was at home, mainly eating and binge watching Netflix, when I receive an alert for a text message. I check my phone and it's a message from Mom. It read, "Are you at home?" I ignored the text because I got ticked off at the message. You see, I was supposed to be out with my friends today, but Mom told me to stay put because Grandma was dropping by with a package or something, and Mom couldn't be around. I didn't like the fact that she didn't trust me enough to have to make sure that I didn't sneak out. Couple minutes later, the phone sounds off again and I check the message. It's Mom again and it read, "I'll be home in 20, so don't go anywhere." I replied right away, "Okay, Mom." I was ecstatic because she wasn't supposed to come home for another 3 hours. I still had plenty of time to go to the town center and hang out with my friends. My precious day was still salvageable. 5 minutes later, a car pulls into our driveway, but it's not Mom's car. It freaked me out for a second, but I smiled in relief when I saw Mom getting out of it. She entered the house. I greeted her downstairs, then asked, "I thought you said you'd be here in 20. Mom goes, "What are you talking about? My car broke down and I lost my phone in town somewhere. I didn't text you anything." It took me a few seconds to put the pieces together, but right away I said, "Mom, we gotta get out of the house." To which she responded, "What are you on about?" I grabbed Mom's wrist and literally dragged her out of the house. I took her toward the small hill we have about 30 yards in front of our house. Our property is surrounded by trees and thick vegetation, so no one could spot us if we stayed low to the ground. Once we were safe on the hill, I showed Mom my cell phone and read the text message that originated from her phone, the phone that she lost. I said to her, "Mom, you lost your phone and you didn't text me. You got my number stored in your phone with the name Daughter. And I know you even bothered to input our address in the contact field. Someone found your phone and texted me. I'll be home in 20, so don't go anywhere." Think about it. Who do you think is coming to our home? Mom looked pale like she's seen a ghost. Me, on the other hand, I didn't panic and called the sheriff right away. Then not even a minute had passed after calling the sheriff when a brown van parked itself right in front of our house. A man wearing a baseball cap got out of the van and I began taking photos. The front door was open because we got out in such haste, and closing the door didn't even occur to me at the moment of our escape. He let himself inside the house and maybe 3 minutes later, he came out running and hastily jumped into his van. He sped off right away and unfortunately, the sheriff arrived 10 minutes too late. I took some photos, but they were mostly too grainy and unclear. I told Mom that I needed a new phone, but of course she didn't listen. As far as the plate number is concerned, it was covered with something. The sheriff thinks that the creep must have stopped his car in mid-travel and probably covered the plate before pulling up in front of my house. He probably feared we might have cameras installed around the property. Dad stayed home all summer because the van creep was never caught. I don't think he's ever coming back, but I'd be lying to you if I didn't think about the possibility every single day. I poop my pants every time I see a brown van, and I'm not saying that all middle-aged men are creep, but I feel uneasy being around older men. I hate that this experience has turned me into such paranoid freak. This is something that happened to me 2 years ago when I was still in college. I had just broken up with my girlfriend. Well, actually, I'll be honest, I was dumped for another guy. Needless to say, I was not 100%, and for the most part of the day and night when I wasn't in school, I was just moping around in my apartment like a big loser. One day, this was like 2 weeks after getting dumped, I get a text message from a number that I didn't recognize. It read, "Hi cutie." Oh, you don't know how good that felt. I needed to feel good, I needed a boost of morale, and out of nowhere, I get a text from a secret crush. So anyway, I go, "Who's this?" And the response is, "I'm a classmate. I saw you checking me out a few times, so I know you know me by face." Holy Mother of God, if I checked her out, then it has to mean that she's hot. I needed this to be true, and I was praying to God that it wasn't a prank pulled by my friends. After a few days, I knew that it wasn't a prank. She kept going and going with her flirtatious messages, and my friends don't have the kind of patience to pull a prank this elaborate. More days go by, and I keep asking her for her picture and name, but she just continues to play hard to get. She just kept saying that we'll meet soon and that I wouldn't be disappointed. She was really good with her words too. I mean, this girl can get you aroused with words alone. 50 Shades of Grey had nothing on this girl. Then one day, she texts, "I saw you today. You have a tendency to close your left eye when you eat something hot. I think that's really cute." To be honest, that message freaked me out a little. It felt something like this. Someone's watching me every day, but I've got no clue who that person is. This person watches me so intently that she even sees the subtle gestures I make when I eat something hot. I was really looking forward to meeting her up to this point, but that message really irked me big time. I didn't reply to the message because 1, I didn't feel comfortable talking to her anymore. And 2, her playing hard to get was no longer exciting. She had played the card for too long. That's when the flood of messages began to arrive on my phone. She wouldn't let up, she just kept going and going with the messages. At some point, the messages became more aggressive and enraged. She threatened me with violence. She said she knew where I lived and that I should be prepared to die if I didn't reply to her. I was afraid, I really was. And before you say that I shouldn't be afraid of a girl, you have to ask yourself if this really was a girl. But then you know what? What if she is a girl? That doesn't mean that she couldn't sneak up behind me with a knife. Think about it. Regardless of the gender, if someone has it out for you and that person happens to be psychotic, that can really hurt you badly or do much worse than that. So yeah, I was afraid. I was very concerned for my safety. One day, her text stopped coming, and that's when I knew it was time to move out. I packed all the essentials and moved in with my best friend and this roommate. I had to sleep on the couch for months, but those were the best slumbers I had in weeks. I felt safe with 2 other dudes, and I don't regret for a moment for being cautious and taking the safe route. And you know what? The next time I get a flirtatious message from a woman, you won't be seeing me replying, like ever. "2016 was a testing and tumultuous year for me and my family. My dad went to jail for aiding and abetting in a robbery. Mom got knocked up again by some other man than my father. The father of the baby didn't stick around, of course, and we had no idea where he was. We had to move to a crappier town than the already crappy town that we lived in because we couldn't afford the rent. I, as a result, ended up in a new high school mid-semester. I thought it'd be a terrible year trying to adjust to the new town and school, but thankfully for me, I quickly met a new friend at the new school. His name's Daniel, and he was one of those kids who are invisible at school. You know, those who are in the middle of the pack. These kids don't get bullied like the kids at the bottom of the barrel, but they don't have the popularity to hang out with the cool kids either. So basically, they're invisible because no one really gives a damn about them. One thing that I did notice though was that Daniel really wanted to fit in with the cool kids. The more I got to know him, the more I realized how obsessed he was with being accepted within the ranks of the top dogs. The cool kids in this town would be considered children of middle-class families in most towns in America, but here, they were children of Bill Gates and Paul Allen. These kids, they had other kids serving them at their whim because there were many who wanted to be part of their crew. Daniel was kinda like that, and he wanted me to join him in his quest to become one of them. I rejected the idea because I don't serve anyone. What the hell is the point of being part of their crew if I'm one of their attendants? I may be poor, I may not be special, but I ain't stooping that low. One day after school, Daniel gave me his cell phone and said, "Hey Randy, there's gonna be an epic party tonight at the abandoned warehouse in the old factory. The guys are gonna be there with the freaking hottest girls in school, and you and I are invited. I'm gonna text you with Clyde's cell phone before we get the party started, so be sure to come right after you receive the text. You can thank me later, fool." Clyde was the head honcho of the cool kids. That's the guy Daniel's been sucking up to all along, and it seemed like it worked too. I didn't want to go, but I thought I'd help Daniel out this one time, and that would be it for me. The clock hits 10 p.m. and I get a text from Daniel. It is from Clyde's cell phone and it read, "We're ready for you, brother. Come over right now," with exclamation. There was a loud music playing when I arrived at the warehouse, but there was something off about the party. There were only 2 cars parked at the front, and I couldn't see anyone outside either. I lived in bad neighbors all my life, and I met plenty of sketchy people in that time. I recognize a bad situation when I see one. So I went around the warehouse and pressed my face against the window at the far rear end of the building. All I saw were guys inside. Some of them had metal pipes in their hands, and some were armed with machetes. Daniel was with them, and he was the only one who looked uneasy, while the rest of the guys looked chill, relaxed. 20 minutes later, Clyde shouts at Daniel, "I give you one freaking task and you fail. All you had to do was to deliver the new guy and you be part of us, part of this crew. You failed us, Daniel, and because of you, we don't have our sacrificial lamb. We like fresh meat, but I think you'll have to do." They proceeded to beat up Daniel, and I left the premises as soon as the screams and cries filled the dry, cold air of the night. Daniel didn't come to school for weeks. I didn't ask what happened to him because I wasn't interested. When he did finally come to school, he still looked like a complete mess, and he had a heavy limp on his right leg. The most disgusting scene, though, was seeing him serving the cool kids like the other idiots did before him. He looked totally defeated, like a man without pride or purpose. Whatever they did to him that night, Daniel could never go back to being the happy and oblivious invisible teen ever again.